Welcome back to the CMO Summit. Before we get going with the next helping of inspiring content, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping us bring this event to your screens. And don't forget to visit our website where you can access even more content and check out our in-person events. We could be coming to a city near you. Enjoy the next session.
Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling in from. It's wonderful to be here today with CMO Alliance to learn new marketing strategies and lessons in leadership. During this session, we're going to dive deeper into a marketing deep dive, key tactics to revive and reevaluate your brand. I know this is very important for me right now with 2023 planning upon us, so hopefully you can take a step back and look holistically at your brand. As a quick introduction, my name is Carly Gauthier. I am the National Director of Marketing at Live Nation. I am a B2B and B2C marketer, a writer, and a mindfulness facilitator. I'm hoping today that I can share some tidbits that you can take back to your own brand. And if you are not familiar with Live Nation, just a real quick overview. Live Nation is the leading live entertainment company in the world. You've probably been to one of our shows or gotten one of our ticketing emails. With that said, you may not be familiar, Live Nation actually owns 150 venues nationwide. So when we're not having concerts at those venues, we're hosting private events. And that's the department that I help oversee the marketing for. Different B2B and B2C initiatives to support our sales teams and drive revenue for private events at our venues. Whether this is a corporate picnic, a company holiday party, a convention offsite reception, film and photo shoot, bar and bat mitzvah, whatever you need, our venues are available for that. And with that said, I want to take a step back today and just review over all of the different tactics that we use to help evaluate the different brands. Being a national brand, we take a strategy look at national initiatives, regional initiatives, and local initiatives. So this should be applicable to any of you who are taking a fresh look at your brands and really seeing where you're coming from. Essentially, I think we've become a lot more of human doings instead of human beings when it comes to planning. We love to check boxes, but when was the last time we took a step back and looked fresh at your brand? I know that we are fully immersed today in the digital sphere when it comes to our clients and customers, as I'm sure with yours. There's 1,000 messages a day that we're getting from brands. So in the midst of all of this, we need to remember that we are human beings looking to connect. So what are the 5 different steps that we take to reevaluate how are we connecting with our audience, the correct audience, and getting campaigns out there? So step 1, what is your product? When is the last time that you took a step back to look at your true north? So what is your brand's vision? What is the higher purpose aligned with your brand to your company goals? You came here and created a product or a brand that ultimately is here to solve a problem and provide value. So go back to what that true essence is. For example, if you're taking a look at, Google. So Google's early vision statement was probably to organize the universe's information and make it accessible for all. What are you doing, and what is that statement that you have for your brand? So now that you have that statement, how can you mindfully evaluate where you are now and where you want to be? So think of this manifestation basically for evaluating what is your dream positioning? What does it look like? There's 2 different exercises you can do to write this down. So the first time is to write down everything that you wish your brand was at, how you want it to look. Write it down like it's actually happening though, right now. So write what you want and what you love, write it as it is happening in the moment, and no negative talk. For us, it's the holiday season. So I could say something like, our calendar is completely booked with private events. My team is passionate and excited to host these events at the venues. Our clients have never had a company party like this before, and they can't wait to get their employees to celebrate. Everything is going so smoothly. Our vendors are great, and we're making so much money. So whatever that sounds, probably with a much more heart-hearted feeling for yourself, then let's get that down on paper. Write it down. Then go to step 2, which is, what does it actually look like? What is the current situation? What are the conflicts then that you see from your current situation to your manifestation? As you do this and create it, you can see what you love doing and where something might be missing right now. So now that you have a brand evaluation and you know what your larger purpose is, and you've written down your brand vision, you can now see where maybe you're not totally aligned for your 2023 goals. So how can you influence and prioritize a roadmap to get there? So essentially, when you look at goals for the next year, whatever time period you're looking at, you want to make sure that they're SMART goals, achievable, goals set on a timeline, and measurable objectives. So perhaps with your case, it is to increase free trial downloads by 30% in the next 6 months. Or you want to improve customer ratings by 1 star on specific sites. Or perhaps generate year over year by 7 million growth. With that said, with the initiatives, what are you going to do to get to those goals? So think about your top line goals and what are the baby steps that you need to achieve, the actual doing to achieve those goals. If you want to generate more revenue, what service are you adding? What upsells and enhancements are you looking at? How are you doing an audit to your pricing models? All of this obviously is very product related, but essentially on the marketing side, we need to understand and be so aligned with operations so we can see where our messaging is going, what we need to be telling our customers to really help them achieve that goal, to help achieve that vision, and help achieve that ultimate manifestation story. So as brands, we do want to make changes and we want to help people, but ultimately we're here to drive business and make money. With that said, how can you take a look at every little penny that's coming into your company and where they're sitting, essentially in buckets? So you have bucket 1 that drives this revenue, bucket 2 that drives this other type of revenue, and bucket 3, 4, 5, so forth for different areas of the company that are making money. So talk about your business as a whole and identify all the different areas that are your money makers. What products are you offering? Everything from your free resources even that lead into paid products, put them down into categories and categorize them from what's making the most money for the company to what's making the lowest. Also take a look at different types of initiatives for what is actually the highest quantity and the lowest quantity. So there you can look at what we're maybe doing the most of, but is it making us the most money? And what maybe we're doing the least of and essentially is making us way more money. Then, as you get these different buckets, take time to say, okay, this is our current item that we have, and here's some ideas for growth. With that, what are new ideas that can come completely out of left field? I love bringing in different people from other departments to take a look at our product, whether it's someone outside of our specific department or at an affiliated company or a completely different consultant to come in with a fresh eye and ask questions to us in a group setting. There's so many different brainstorming ideas that come through when you really take that step back and that 1,000-foot look. Okay, so now that we have a clear vision of our product, we reviewed where we want to go and where we are now. We've looked at the goals that we want to achieve for next year, the initiatives perhaps that need to get us there step by step. And additionally, we dove a little bit deeper into what's driving the revenue, what are different tactics and new ideas for areas of growth. Product, brand, achieved. Now, who are we going to be spreading the word to next year? Well, first off, let's take a look at who is your target audience. Target audience is coming in 2 different ways. You have your advocates for the brand, and you have your drivers for people who are actually driving the money revenue. What I like to do when we're looking at our brands is take a look at all the different categories that our target audience is coming into. What are the 4 different, general ideas of audiences that you have? What do they care about? Can you categorize the different areas that revenue is coming in through? And can you take a look at who they are and what do they want? What problem are you solving for each category of your audiences? Then take a look at just one of those buckets and all of the different demographics, interests, behaviors, and data. It's pretty interesting to look at what your industry might be doing. For myself, it's B2B. So we're a B2B driven product, and the bread and butter behind our demographics are job titles, industry, and location. We also consider age, so typical trends show on us that a lot of lead generation is coming from the younger side. However, when it comes to the actual decision maker, we're at an older generation. So this understanding helps us create ads that then will be relevant to say, let's drive traffic and leads to the website with this fun, hip creative, But then when it comes to actually converting that sale, we button up. We get a little bit more official and professional when it comes to the decision makers. So look at the screen that we have right now. Where are the different types of key competitors that are going in with your interest? What are the behaviors that your audience is taking? And then what data do you already own? The data that you own, your database, can do so many things when it comes to advertising. Creating custom audiences, lookalike audiences, that CRM data can tell a story. So make sure that you're taking full advantage of all the different ways you can slice and dice it to create either retention with new customers or past customers. Okay, so what is another great exercise to go through is what are the shared desires, likes, and dislikes? Across all of your target audiences, there are likes and dislikes associated. This goes back to that key north that you're looking for with your company, your brand's problem solving. So what are they liking that you're doing? What are they liking that other brands are doing? What are all of the different areas that your audience wants to learn from? Different problems they need to solve, different desires. What do they consider a win? On the flip side, what are they nervous about? What are they cautious to avoid? What are they distrusting? And what are their biggest problems? This will let you know what your audience's care points are and what their pain points are. Now, taking all of this into evaluation with our own brand, I wanted to throw in a couple examples. So our 4 main audience buckets are corporate professionals, professionals for event planners, real people, we call them, such as high-income individuals that want to host events, and then influencers. These influencers are actually brand advocates. They're not driving a lot of money, but they are people that are creating thought leadership within the industry that we do not want to completely take off just because they're not giving us direct revenue. With that said, we take a look at who each of these categories are and what problem we are solving for them. What do they want? And this then will allow us to create messaging and marketing campaigns specific to each bucket. So if I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into one of those buckets, let's say event planners, I can say the demographics for an event planner is somebody perhaps that lives in Los Angeles, California. They are between the ages of 24 to 65. We do lean more female, 60% female, higher income individuals, and typically college educated. What are their interests? Well, they're engaging with conference planning. They're engaging with different large media outlets like BizBash or associations that we see in our industry. They enjoy live entertainment. And for behaviors, they're searching for venues. Maybe they visit our website or they downloaded a white paper. They like something on our social media page or they opened an email. All of this are different types of targeting methods that we will be able to achieve to go after this specific audience of professionals, to either re-engage past clients or push along some new clients that are in the sales funnel. Now, my favorite part is taking a look at these demographics to say, can we create a character? So this is the exercise of creating a persona. So a persona is basically a fictional character with characteristics of your real customers and clientele. This allows us to see how we're speaking to our audience and how we're appearing to our audience. For us, this is Stephanie. Stephanie is the VIP insider. She's a hip, cool 36-year-old. She dresses well, normally wears a leather jacket. She's smart and witty. She's helpful but not bubbly. So the tone that we are talking in and the copywriting that we are saying on platforms might change, but essentially we want our voice to always reflect this insider persona. And this allows us to create campaigns and refer back to say, is this something that Stephanie would say? Which brings us into messaging. So we figured out who we are. We've taken a dabble at learning more about who our audience is. So now let's explain your brand's messaging and different messaging opportunities. How are you differentiating from your competitors? And then what are the unique value propositions that you're bringing up? And at the end of the day, remember, we're solving a problem. How are we positioning ourselves with that? The first thing we want to look at is what story do we want to tell? So where do you see yourself or your brand down the road? What are the adjectives that are needed to describe that? And how do you want clients to feel from it? Jot it all down and understand exactly what your main goal is when it comes to different messaging campaigns. So when we come to create core messaging, we want to look at saying why you are the best. So make it quick and straightforward. The more you know, the more you forget. We don't need to elaborate too much when it comes to specific marketing campaigns. There are other platforms you can dive in deeper, but just for your first core messaging, make it quick and easy. Then, how can you relate to your audience? So allow your messaging to be really flexible so you can speak to various target audiences, and you want to be able to relate to them for all of those hopes that we reviewed and all of those fears that we want to avoid. Then, thirdly, shout out your originality. So you want to have messaging statements that are diving deeper into the problem solving, explaining why you are different than the competition and why you are unique. What are your unique selling propositions, essentially, that you can appeal to your audience's emotions by? Utilize user-generated content, perhaps, like reviews, press, testimonials, surveys, and how can you let them see what you've done to help solve those problems and avoid those fears? If we had to write this down in an exercise, we use a template that you see on the screen right now. So first, looking at our brand theme. This is your main tagline. The brand theme is an aspirational embodiment, essentially, of why your product exists. We've already reviewed this back in our product step 1. So now that we're working on the messaging, how can you express that at the highest level as a value proposition and a universal tagline? Is the tagline that you're using right now already doing that, or does it need to be reevaluated? Then, target statements. So how are you communicating your brand's theme to a specific audience? This universal tagline can stay the same, but when it comes to secondary messaging, what are the different types of communication tactics to twist and add flexibility to your messaging campaigns that makes them rich and relevant to each audience bucket that you're going after? And essentially, at the end, what are the messaging pillars? So details and credibility to your messaging pillars are your proof points, your services, your benefits, different types of themes that explain why you are set apart from other brands and why these benefits can help problem solve and are unique selling propositions. All right, so taking a look at how I model this, we have who we are, which is our brand theme, legendary venues, epic events, and then you go down to a target statement, aka how we relate to each one of our audience buckets. For us, we had the professionals, so different event planners and corporates, and we make sure that every single one of our different target statements are able to apply to whatever type of event they might be hosting. Flexibility within the copywriting is key for your different targets. And then your messaging pillars. So once we have our hierarchy essentially of messaging where we know what our overall theme and true north is, the different target statements, we look at the supporting factors, how we are unique and original. We have a lot of different services and offerings that our competition doesn't. So we make sure that we talk about all of these within our campaigns to let people know why we are the best choice. You can use this template essentially as a toolkit to mix and match for any of your campaigns. The overarching brand theme, again, will always be featured and always be the same. Then you direct it over to your target statements. Here, again, you are looking at different audiences you're targeting and how you can adapt your goals to speak to them specifically for their needs, their wishes, and avoiding their fears. And then the messaging pillars. So diving a little bit deeper into the supporting facts, the benefits, the services, and the unique selling propositions that show promises to how you are going to get your clients what they need. All right. So now that we have the messaging and our branding, where are we going to be communicating this and how are we turning it into campaigns? Ultimately, we have goals as a company to increase revenue and also become thought leaders. So where are your customers hearing about you and how can you expand your reach? We look at it from a 360 marketing standpoint. It takes multiple touch points to convert a different client, whether you're selling e-commerce products or larger B2B products of SaaS, whatever it is. Possibly not going to be the biggest trend to convert somebody the first time they see you. So how are you reminding them throughout every step of your journey and then driving back to the hub of purchase? For this example, I put on website. The hub of purchase for us and lead generation is our website. So we look at all the different touch points that we can make sure we're present on to get people to our website. So we look at all the channels and then understand what KPIs and what needs and what metrics will need to be monitored throughout the year. It's very important to have a benchmark so you can understand, are we doing good or are we not doing good? There's industry benchmarks that you can look up online, but there's also the benchmarks that you can hold true to yourself, that year over year and the month over month data to essentially see, are you improving? And if not, let's dive in and take a look at the metrics for what went down and what possibly was affecting that. The customer journey is very vibrant when it comes from a funnel standpoint of looking at top line as a first touch point. How are you making customers aware of your product? We talked about this in the messaging exercise. People need to be made aware of your different types of product capabilities and unique selling propositions. How can you do that from a high level, real quick, catch attention? Perhaps somebody is not going to convert on that first touch point. So then how do you essentially go down to the next level and try to convert them to drive to your website? Just some traffic. Come and learn more about us. Once you're on our website, how are you engaging with content? What are we saying to help sell ourselves as actual thought leaders and industry leaders? And then what are we doing to convert that customer to a potential lead, or ultimately checking out on the website as a final customer? But once it's done, it's not done. Then we want to create retention and a full circle, possibly referrals as well. Brand advocates. With this said, there's a lot of different touch points and a lot of different messaging you can bring into your marketing. But we want to make sure that we're doing it from a standpoint of owned, earned, and paid. This means that there's marketing possibilities for every budget created. When you looked at your own media, this is messages that you completely control. Your website, social media, email content. This is your message that you can put out in the right format of how you want it to be displayed. Then you have earned media. So this is what I find some of the coolest media. How can you get in different PR and news sources that aren't yourself? We could say we're cool all day, but it sounds a lot cooler when someone else is saying we're cool. So take a look at what different affiliates you can be working with and making sure that you're sending different information or product launches to their sites. And then with those review sites, your customers. What are your customers saying about you? How are you getting quotes and testimonials? What user-generated content are they receiving back to you, and are you engaging with online to let people know that you appreciate that? This is all earned and free and paid and not paid. So you want to see the different types of amazing credibility efforts you can take with earned media. And then finally, paid. Paid is exciting because there's a lot of different strategy and those benchmarks, again, that you want to make sure you're hitting. So take a look at your 360 marketing plan and where is your audience hanging out? Do you need display ads? Social media, Google, I think everyone should be on. And then different offline ads, whether it's on site because you're brick and mortar or you have a venue, or some type of direct mailing or print advertising. All of these different paid initiatives can be also seen on a funnel standpoint, from awareness to driving traffic to your website to essentially converting a lead or a customer. So now that we've reviewed all of the different types of product overview, your messaging, as well as your audience, where does this leave us now? This leaves us with a big opportunity to take a look at what you've been doing right this entire time. What are those wins? Do not forget to pat yourself on the back, let your team know how amazing they've done, and take time to appreciate what you've been doing correctly. And then identify the opportunities. So what were the losses, but frame them in a sense of an opportunity for you to be doing next year, an opportunity for you to A/B test. I love finding things that we do wrong because that just allows us to see more into the different types of creative problem-solving tactics. And then set your next steps. Clear intentions to get you to that manifested goal. Clear intentions to achieve that brand's vision, your goals, and all of those small initiatives to get you there. Make sure you're taking a look at not just what's driving the revenue, but also what's causing thought leadership within your brand, because things come in a funnel and people need to become human beings of having relationships with a brand and understanding who is behind the brand, not just somebody selling, but also creating a type of relationship. With that said, thank you for diving in a little bit deeper today. If you have any questions or you want to dive in some more with me, then please reach out to me on LinkedIn or through my email. Thank you and have a good day.